When I design a rod, I like to think of the fly. What has to happen to the fly? I like to think about the delivery. You know, fly rods look pretty simple until you try to build one. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on in every Sage fly rod. My job is to understand, fundamentally, each fly fishing situation. Whenever I'm fishing here, I need a rod with high line speed. Understanding line speed and matching it to the fishing situation gives you the best presentation of the fly. Big loop, big line speed, just to shorten it up, pop the rod off the tip, quick line. Tighten the loop up, throws the bug down to the water, throw it really low, lay it down. My design philosophy is to understand line speed and how the rod and line works together. A good design is nice. A good design is essential, but good engineering makes it all possible.
Well, this is the R&D, the Skunk Works trailer, and this is, I'll have to tell you, it's the heart of the company. This is where the composite gets generated. It's where the new ideas are spawned, and it translates into product out in the river.
Fly fishing is a very traditional business, and we have to keep in mind the tradition that it is. But the science is the exciting part. It's the science that brings the new materials that we can work with and what those advantages have in a way a rod performs. Let's make a change to see if we can improve that part of the breakage with another test setup.
We have the ability in here, as small as it is, to cut our own patterns, make our own layups with materials. We can process them in our small oven over there. Everything's coming apart about the same time, which is pretty close to an ideal situation. This had one of the higher bow heights that we've experienced for its weight too.
But we do have the orientation to where the load was occurring.
That's right.
So we can see where the actually delamination occurred. One of the things that's really important to us now is really to improve the product from a construction standpoint and material standpoint, and how we form the product and how we lay up the product to make it the most durable product we can. The tradition part of the business is still a very, very important part of fly fishing, so we want to retain the traditional part of it, at the same time improve the product by durability and design.
John, it won't go.
Fold it. Bring your two hands closer together now.
All right.
Just focus it to the
Look
tip.
out. Here we go.
Oh, geez.
Well, that one split up a lot different.
Yeah.
So that failed in the hoop direction.
In a fishing situation, the rod's never locked up in one spot.
It
pulls the whole rod down.
Sure.
And it's a big shock absorber.
Yeah.
Just continues to pull and pull. It never can get. How are you going to get a fish to do that?
Well, you know, this is going to go well beyond any normal fishing situation. That's really what we're after, is go even to the extreme situations and still have a solid, reliable tip.
The other thing we can do too is run some production quantities of this.
Fact is, I do design the best rods I can. Without engineering, I don't know that I'd have a job. I like to look at a rod and look at how it flexes, the flex pattern. See the balance in the rod, see the flow through. A really nice curve. You need to be able to drive the line very, very smoothly. You can only do that if you build a rod by hand every inch of the way. This isn't your grandfather's fly rod. Let's look at blank construction. That's where design and engineering all come together.
The production of Sage fly rods is divided into two main areas. In this part of the shop, we manufacture the blanks. And of course, all of our blanks are made from graphite. And this is what the graphite raw material looks like. The graphite tape is then pulled out and laid in sheets where it was matched with a hoop reinforcement. At Sage, we make over 150 different models of fly rods, and using metal templates, we cut the patterns to precisely the right size for that particular model. The next step is to mold them around a tapered steel mandrel. And the taper and the diameters of the mandrels are the key elements in giving sage rods their unique action. It's very important that we place the pattern precisely on the spot of the mandrel for that particular model. We use a hot iron to attach the pattern so it stays in place during the rolling process, which is what we're going to show you next. This is a very critical stage of the operation because we want to make sure we have a nice tight roll with no soft spots or voids. And the way we achieve this is we use a rolling table that was designed by the founder of Sage, Don Green. Before we put the blank piece into the oven to cure the epoxy, we spiral wrap some polypropylene tape around the outside to hold all the resin and the fibers in place during the 3-hour cure process. When the epoxy resin in the blank is cured, it's time to take the part off the mandrel. This is our coating room. Each blank piece comes through here and we dip it into a tube that goes down into the floor. The tube contains a colored epoxy, and when the part is removed, it has a very thin coat of a translucent color that allows us to look down through the coating to see the graphite fibers underneath. Each rod blank goes to our quality control section. First we check for cosmetic defects or any material flaws, and then each and every tip is bend tested. Once the blanks make it through our inspection area, they come here to our cut and fit saw. Here, using a diamond cutoff blade, we trim the tip to length and then cut the next section to fit the tip, and then work our way down until all of the blank parts are the right length. Once the blank pieces have all been put together, we bring them to our aligning area. Here we sight down the blank and align each part so that we end up with a nice straight blank.
Let's have a look at how all this comes together as a rod. We've got a blank, magnificently finished blank. We've got tip tops, corks, guides, reel seats. All this needs to be put together very carefully so that you have a real piece of work.
Now the finished Sage blank comes to the part of the shop where we assemble the rod. Rod action and casting performance comes mainly from the blank design, but here the level of care and attention to detail gives us the quality that we need in every Sage rod. At this station we glue on the tip tops and the reel seats. As a rule of thumb, every 6-weight rod and lower uses a nice tight-grained stable wood-bodied reel seat with nickel-silver components. The next step in the process is to glue on the individual cork rings for the handle. We use the best Portuguese rings that we can find. We use a special adhesive that has the same flexibility as the cork so that the finished handle feels nice and soft and warm in your hand. After being ground to its rough shape, each handle is hand sanded with several grits of sandpaper to give it a nice smooth finish. And this is the spot where we silkscreen the Sage logo, the model number, and the specifications on each rod. Next, the rods come into the wrapping area. But before we actually wrap the guides on the rods, we put them up on this table and use these boards to mark the spots on the rods that the guides are to be placed. This is where we also put the serial number on the rod. The serial number is a unique number that's assigned at the beginning of the process, and that follows the rod all the way through its life. From the marking table, the rods are moved over to the wrapping area where the guides are applied. It's when the guides are applied that it really takes the form of a fly rod. Here we're sighting down the guides once they've been wrapped to make sure they're in perfect alignment with the blank and the reel seat. This is a very important part of rod quality. This is our lint-free clean room. This is where we apply the coating to the threads. Each thread receives 2 coats. The first one soaks down through it and bonds it to the blank, while the second one gives us a nice smooth surface. After the coating is applied, the rods come over to these A-frames where they turn for about 4 hours until the coating is cured. Before it's completed, each rod goes to our quality control bench, where every inch of the rod is inspected to make sure that all previous steps have been performed properly. When we're sure that everything is perfect, rods come to the pack-out table, where we plug the butt sections, put paraffin wax on the ferrules, and place the rods in a bag along with the warranty card. From here, the rods go down to our distribution center, where they're placed in tubes and shipped to fly fishermen all over the world.
Nickel silver has always been the standard of all really fine fly rods. We use it today. Cork, super grade cork from Portugal. It's a nice firm grip up at the top, nickel silver winding check, really fine decorative wraps, matching colors. Lots of different shaft colors, but look at this finish. The Sage philosophy is a simple one. Build the best fly rods in the world one at a time. We've dedicated our lives to building every fly rod the best we know how with the best materials. Once we engineer it, understand it, put it together from top to bottom, we want to fish it, of course. I want a rod that gives you a lot of fun and years of pleasure. A rod that you can grow into. I'm about due for a fish.